Hi there. Welcome to the From Lab to Launch podcast by Qualio, where we share inspiring stories from the people on the front lines of life sciences. Tune in and leave inspired to bring your life-saving products to the world.
Thanks for joining us on From Lab to Launch today. I'm Meg from Qualio, and it's my pleasure to be your host and introduce you to the movers and shakers of modern life sciences. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and we'd love it if you could give us a review on Apple or Spotify. Today, we're talking to Mohan Uttarwar, an accomplished entrepreneur and innovator with extensive experience in life science and precision diagnostics. Mohan's work focuses on addressing unmet needs in oncology and personalized medicine, and he's particularly focused on the development of next-generation diagnostic tools, specifically in the areas of liquid biopsy and multi-omics. Based in Cupertino, California, Mohan is the co-founder and CEO of OneCell Diagnostics, now OneCell AI. OneCell's AI-powered cancer diagnostics promises 90% faster detection of cancers and 80% more accurate therapy response plans. Mohan, your work sounds so interesting. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Meg.
Can you share a little bit for us your professional journey and the experiences that led to the founding of OneCell AI back in 2021?
Sure, it's a pleasure. My personal background, I'm a product of two extremes. I was born and brought up in India, where there was no technology in the middle of a small, teeny tiny village. A farming community was no electricity, no telephones, no TV, no nothing. And now, for the past several decades, I've made a home away from home in Silicon Valley, where we get to enjoy absolute leading edge, bleeding edge technology that will make a societal impact. Education wise, I'm an engineer. I started my career at Intel and HP, and my own set of problems prompted me to start a company. My entrepreneur journey started after I left HP, mostly in the technology space, where I used the innovation in technology to improve the health of businesses. After the company was acquired, there was an attempt to see if I could join a venture fund. One of my mentor board member had started a VC fund, and started that. But around the same time, a very close friend suffered through cancer, and I watched the agonies and pains. And I met some folks at Stanford, and I saw a dramatic difference in the use of technology or a lack of use of technology in healthcare. And that prompted me to start Bioimaging, a company that pioneered digitizing pathology. Eventually, that was acquired by Roche, but that got me closely working with oncology and cancer. After Roche's acquisition, we started using digital pathology, a cancer diagnostic company, to make advanced cancer diagnostics using the molecular pathology popular around the world. And that really got me closer to how the cancer is managed, what are the challenges. And in spite of 3-4 decades, we still have not conquered the stuff. That is because one shoe doesn't fit all in cancer. And it was very obvious that personalization and proactive management is the only way we could win this battle. Fortunately, about 6-7 years ago, Sean Parker, the first president of Facebook, started Parker Institute of Immunocancer Therapy, and there it became very clear that personalization cannot happen only with one-dimensional data. You have to have multi-omics, multimodal data. Cancer is almost like an elephant and 6 blind men. Where you touch, the blind man describes cancer that way. Genomics, proteomics, transcriptomics, pathology, radiology. They all are fields of science limited only to a specific area. But to describe the whole elephant, we need to bring it all together. So we were very fortunate to build a software platform in collaboration with Parker Institute and 6 academic centers: Stanford, UCLA, UCSF, Sloan Kettering, MD Anderson, and UPenn. And I got to work with likes of Jim Allison's, the Nobel laureates, at the ground floor to bring that data in and be able to address more proactively. So that became the foundation. Okay. And multiple emerging trends were obvious, from single omics to multi-omics, from bulk sequencing. Next generation sequencing is now become a standard of care. The field is moving into single cell. Tissue is an issue. Liquid biopsy is the future. But all liquid biopsies are flirting around with cell-free DNA or ctDNA. But the future really, should be a true single cell that represents the tumor inside the live cancer body. So these mega trends emerging led us to the formation of one cell. It's a long answer to your short question. But personalization, hyper-personalization, integration of deep science and data science to make it proactive so that you can do early detection, you can forecast, you can predict. And it's a fascinating science. And we are thriving in the innovation at the intersection of deep science and deep data science.
Sure. I love that your journey is ending, with this goal of personalization, but your journey started with a personal story of your friend. So I love how you've tied that together.
Sure,
Can you walk us through One Cell's oncology diagnostic technology and how it
sure,
works? Yeah.
sure. So what we do is, and I don't know, just to give you a little framework, you know, early detection is hard. Sometimes, happens accidentally, sometimes, through the routine checks, and the patients, would go into the regular doctor's check, and if they suspect something, a radiologic scan is done. And if they find something, a pathology test is ordered. And what that is basically taking a piece of tissue from where the tumor might be and then processing it, cutting, fixing, staining. And pathology slides are created, and pathologists look through the microscope. And based on the pattern, so they write a report, whether it's cancer or not cancer, what is the stage of the cancer. That's the normal stuff that has been happening for decades. But as I said, one shoe doesn't fit all, right?
Mhm.
And so, what's the difference, right? It's the genomics. What are the genes? What are the mutations, right? So, that's where first generation of precision oncology came about with tissue biopsy. But taking tissue is a surgical procedure. It's not easy to do all the time, right? It's expensive. It's intrusive. It's painful. And so the next generation was liquid biopsy. So from a small blood draw, can we analyze the blood through next generation sequencing, and can we find out what's going on? Okay. So that's the second generation liquid biopsy. And that's mostly the fragments of DNA that get spun out of the dead cells, analyzing them, finding the level. It's a good biomarker, but it tells you whether cancer level is going up or down, but doesn't tell you the whole story.
Mhm.
Okay. A gram of tumor sheds about 1 million cancer cells in the stream, okay, every day. Now that may seem a lot, but we have trillions of cells. It's a 1 in a billion cell. So with one cell AI, what we did, we developed the technology to capture that 1 in a billion circulating tumor cell, okay, which is really the culprit. What happens usually is, people will get diagnosed, they get treated, and 95%, basically taken care of. But that 5%, it's called minimal residual disease, those cells that somehow escape the medicine, escape the immune system, and they are the fugitives on the run. They go somewhere, they settle somewhere that you don't know.
Mm.
And then that secondary tumor starts growing. Okay, of the 2 million new cancer patients here in the United States, okay, 95% of the time, they might get fixed, but there's no such thing as a cure in cancer. It's all remission. 95% of it, it's going to reoccur. Now, when, how, from where, nobody knows. Okay. And the current systems of monitoring are not competent enough, sensitive enough. Because what do we do once a year, twice a year? We do CT scan, we do MRI, we do PET. All those modalities need a secondary tumor to grow to 9 to 10 millimeter. Then only it can be detected. Okay. So on one side, tissue is an issue. The current liquid biopsy doesn't quite work. On the other side, you have a not very sensitive standard of care. And so one cell has invented the mechanism to capture that 1 in a billion circulating tumor cell. High degree of sensitivity, order of a magnitude more. High degree of specificity and purity, order of a magnitude more. And order of a magnitude less cost and simplicity. So if I take those three axes, today one cell has 1,000x price performance than anything else. And the groundbreaking stuff is not only capturing, but we are, isolating without fixing those cells. And so then we can analyze, the science didn't exist 5 years, 10 years ago. Okay, so the first generation of CTCs were just capturing and counting. And the doctors would say, yeah, you are telling me there is a problem, but what do I do with it?
Mhm.
Okay. The next generation sequencing, the genomics on the cell, single cell, the transcriptomics on the single cell, the proteomics on the single cell, the methylation on the single cell, that didn't exist. And this becomes overwhelming. And AI was not there to analyze this multidisciplinary, multimodal, multidimensional data to predict the reoccurrence, to predict the toxicity, to predict the efficacy, or to predict the resistance. The first generation will say, oh, these genes are expressed, these mutations are expressed. Science tells us that if you give this medicine, it will work. And yes, it does work for a period of time, 6 months, 9 months, and it stops working. And the doctors don't know why it stopped working. It's a game of whack-a-mole. Cancer, you find something, you fix it, it pops up somewhere else. Then you fix it, it pops up somewhere else. Right? You know, and so with AI, you're able to predict these resistance mechanisms, these toxicity issues, and provide that meaningful insight to the doctors for a given patient at a given time point. What's the right medicine? What's the right combination which will address the resistance after 6 months? So it's a beautiful science. And when you combine that with the data science, for the first time, I feel that we have a ability to manage cancer. And our mission is, can we make cancer a chronic disease that can be managed? Okay, just like diabetes, there's no cure for diabetes. But you live with diabetes, you manage diabetes because it's a chronic disease. Companies like ours are working very hard to make cancer not a curable disease, but a manageable chronic disease.
Something we can catch earlier, predict, and treat better, it sounds like, is one cell's mission
Yep,
there and what
absolutely.
that technology can do. Amazing.
Yeah.
Now, Mohan, you've co-founded, excuse me, 5 companies and raised over 50 million in investment. Where does that drive and passion come from to be so busy and chase so much investments?
Good question, Meg. It's the purpose, Meg. When you see 2 million new cancer patients here in the United States, I also come from India, where you have more than 1.5 million cancer patients and over 20 million survivors. And something needs to be done about it. So, can we make cancer, a manageable disease? Can we democratize precision oncology? Precision oncology still is a very niche field. It's still early stage. It's expensive. It's not accessible. It's not geared up for everybody, and it's also not affordable. So our mission is to democratize precision oncology, make it actionable, make it accessible, and make it affordable so that every oncologist in every hospital, in every country, in every corner of the world can take advantage of new science to help the patients across the country, around the world. And particularly from where I came from, innovation for affordability has been ingrained in our DNA. Can we make it affordable?
Mhm.
Okay. And a lot of new technologies, exciting technologies that are taking tests that cost thousands of dollars and making them into hundreds of dollars or tens of dollars. Order of magnitude more affordable so that no patient should be turned back because he or she can't afford. We want to impact at least 1 million cancer patients' lives across the country and around the world. And it's a mission, it's a purpose, it's a goal that is driving not just me, but all my colleagues at One Cell, both here in the United States, where we have a very nice lab, do a lot of research here, as well as in India. And that journey from bench to bed, this US India corridor, Silicon Valley technology, which is very good on bench side, and India, which has got a huge population, has got a strength in bedside. If you could do that effectively, it will improve the speed, it will also reduce the cost, and it will make a significant impact.
It sounds like you are doing just that already, Mohan.
Yeah.
Speaking of significance, can you discuss any significant partnerships or collaborations that are crucial to One Cell's strategy and growth?
Absolutely. Look, it takes a village.
It does.
Yeah. I would be, lying to you if I say that we could do it all alone, you know. So we have lots of academic collaborations. We work with Stanford, Cedar Sinai, MD Anderson. We have many things. University of Augusta. So we have academic collaborations where we take the latest and translate them, into practical products. We also have a lot of industry collaborators. I was just visiting one of the Stanford faculty who has spun out a company, our partner, called Bioscribe. Nobody in the world has taken at the single cell level this multi-dimensional analysis. From the same cell, you do the whole genome, whole transcriptome, targeted proteome, and methylome. Right? With them, we are doing that stuff, and it's really fantastic. We're working with next generation sequencing companies like Illumina. We are working with other instruments companies like the Agilents of the world. So we have lots of partnerships. But one I'm really excited about is this Bioscribe, which is really, they were looking for companies that has the ability to pick up that 1 in a billion cell.
Mhm.
And we were looking for a company that will help us analyze that cell and find meaningful information. Okay, and that was the missing piece for us that they bring up. And then we have a very good analytical capabilities that leverages this multi-dimensional, multimodal data analytics using the modern AI tools to predict the outcomes.
Fantastic. What a opportune partnership that you guys have found each other and been able to solve this cancer and multimodal problem and be able to unpack it together. Mohan, being a quality professional myself, I'm always curious to hear from founders how their quality journey has been in bringing innovation to the market. How has quality impacted the company's journey to date for you?
There's no question, right? We're not dealing with some, app that can crash, right? This is healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
When we do anything and everything, right, that there is a patient at the other end of the workflow. And, the reports that we present are very important because based on that, the doctors are going to make the decision which will impact their life. So quality is not something that can be an afterthought in our business. It has to be ingrained at every step of the way. Every line of code we write, every experiment we perform. That's why right up front, our software platform, we did 21 CFR Part 11 compliant, GDPR, GXP, HIPAA compliance. Okay, we go through, the 510Ks, we go through regulatory, hurdles. And quality starts at every level, right from the beginning, and it has to be ingrained because remember, at the end of the day, what we do make a difference in the life of that cancer patient.
Indeed. Indeed. You're having a huge impact there.
Absolutely.
Mohan, you seem like a person who wants to plug gaps in the life science marketplace and offer new solutions. What do you think is the biggest gap still left to close that you can see?
I think if I, again, focusing more on cancer, I would say that, we are still reacting to the past. You know, uh, it's like looking backwards and driving. So that whole paradigm of you diagnose, you treat, and you hope, that needs to be changed, to you screen, you predict, and you prevent. And that predict part can only come if you marry good science with good data science. So most of the scientists, they don't understand AI. Most of the AI engineers, they don't understand the science. So the biggest gap I see is really integrating these two, pillars. And of course, the business, the third pillar has to be business. How do you translate this into a meaningful, cost-effective, thing? And if you look at one cell AI, that's what we've done. A deep science at a single cell level, married to data analytics and predictive AI. I think that's the gap. And because of that integration, I am very hopeful that the proactive management of cancer is going to make a difference in the lives of cancer patients. So you act now, not wait for, when it becomes too late. And then it's too little too late. That's been the story of cancer for so many decades.
Yes.
But I think next decade it's about to change. And we want to be in the driver's seat. We want to be the catalyst to make that happen.
Yes, we do. I think especially seeing cancer rates going up too, I think it's imperative that we have this paradigm shift that you are creating with OneCell.
Absolutely.
What lessons or from your journey with OneCell would you pass on to aspiring life science entrepreneurs?
Oh, there are many. It will take the whole day.
Your top lesson.
Maybe many mistakes we did, and I have lots of scars in the back. But I think entrepreneurs, at least the first timer, are very quick to jump when they find a hole in the market. You know, and I think we have to also know, is there a market in that hole? And then science alone, technology alone isn't enough. Do you have all the pieces of the puzzle, okay, to deliver the whole solution? Scientists get excited with if you find something, right? When we're able to capture, wow, you know, guess what? We're able to capture a single cell, right? So, that aspect need to be countered by so what? So what if, if I can find a cell and the doctors would say, so what? Tell me, what do I do? So most of the entrepreneur have to connect the dots, right? And not just be excited about what if, but also answer that question, so what? And the third piece is, can you deliver the total solution? Can you make money? So, early on, I made several mistakes in my life, particularly in digital pathology. We were pioneers in digitizing pathology. We were groundbreaking. We were so excited. The mistake I made was there was no CPT code. There was no way to get reimbursed. So while the early adapters were very excited and they will bring small budgets, we couldn't build a sustainable growth business. Okay. And so at Biomagine, my previous company, we found somebody who was really insightful and they had done some work and we found a, reimbursement code and we completely retooled our company, around that particular reimbursement. And that's why Roche acquired us. So I think it's very important not to get super excited with a piece of the puzzle, but look at the whole puzzle and make sure that you go through it all the time.
Yeah, that commercial piece is so important in actually bringing our technology to the patients in the market.
Yeah.
Well, Mohan, our last question is more of a fun one that we like to ask each of our guests. If we ran into at a bookstore or at your local library, in what section would we find you?
Oh, today, if you ask me, that changed every time, right? On the way. If you ask me currently, we have a little grandson, 4 years old.
Oh,
So where I would be found along with him. So it would be the kids section where they get very excited with the imaginative stuff that is there.
Good. Hopefully the Very Hungry Caterpillar or something like that.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for joining. Where can those go who want to follow along with your journey and find out more about you and connect? Where can they go?
Best place is our website. Okay, number one, cell.ai, one cell AI. I think that's the best.
Right.
Social media, these days, internet, anywhere, a lot of journals, a lot of activities that we are, taking. We do a lot of publications. We had almost 19 abstracts accepted at ASCO, so we do a lot of publications and posters and articles and so on and so forth. So you can find us anywhere. But the best resource would be onecell.ai.
Great. We'll get that posted in our show notes. Thank you so much for joining me today, Mohan. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you, Meg. Those were good questions. I enjoyed too.
Great. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of From Lab to Launch, brought to you by Qualio. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe and give the show a positive review. It really helps us out. For more information about Qualio, our guest today, or to be a guest on a future episode, please refer to the show notes. Until next time.